Hello, and welcome to this video tribute to my Aunt Barbara Roberts, who would have turned 95 years old this month, November 2020. Barbara was a very special aunt, and I think I can speak for all of my siblings and first cousins, there were 11 of us, that Barbara really bonded to us all at a very young age. I can remember her as be some of my first memories. Aunt Barbara was there, she was around, and she really treated us like one of her own. So there was almost a mother-child type of bond that took place there. And she treated us all very special, like she cared, like we were important to her. And I think that would not only be true for us, but also her grandnieces and grandnephews and her friends, the people that she knew in life. I think they all experienced this from her. So she touched people's lives in many ways, and I'm sure had a very profound influence on people's lives, and really in some way made us all who we are today, which is probably a lot better people than if we had not had her in our lives. But one of the really special things about Barbara as a child was once a year on our birthday, we'd receive a card. So we get that card in the mail. And I can just remember running to the mailbox, a day or two before the birthday to see if it might have come early. And it usually did come early or arrive right on time. And not only was there a card in the envelope, but there was always a dollar bill. And so that dollar bill was just the most exciting thing on earth to receive that dollar. And I think later on she might have given us a raise. Maybe there was a $2 bill. And so that was twice as special. But then as we grew older and our value systems changed, we appreciated that card. And then, when Toni and I had children of our own, she continued that tradition and kept sending cards to our children. And she would send cards to, not only her nephews and nieces, which there were 11 of them, but their spouses. So you've got all these spouses and great nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews. And so she continued this. It's just amazing all the detailed work that she put into that, and really just to show that she cared. And then later, as she learned to do calligraphy and became so good at it, then the cards became really a piece of artwork that we look forward to, and we save those because we'd hate to throw those away. They're just such special works of art from our aunt, and so just to have an aunt like that, I bet there's no other aunt like her in the world. I mean, she has to be one of the most special aunts out there, and so it's a shame we couldn't get together in person, but here during the pandemic, I guess this is the next best thing. And I'm really thrilled that I'm not doing this alone, but I was able to get some others to help me out. So I've got a couple of my siblings and cousins, and also some of Barbara's great nephews and great nieces, or grandnephews and grandnieces, are you're going to hear from them too. And at the end, I'm going to finish this up with a song that I wrote while I was putting together this and going through all these pictures. And the way when I write songs, I don't usually think, well, I'm going to write a song about a particular subject. It just happens or it doesn't happen. So I originally wasn't going to write a song for this, but I ended up putting one together. It just kind of spontaneously happened, and I think it's fitting for this, and I hope you enjoy it. I want to play it for you at the end of this video. And so, let's hear from some of the others. And again, thanks for joining us on this special tribute to my Aunt Barbara Roberts.
Hi everyone, I am Brett Roberts. I am Barbara's great nephew. Barbara was awesome, so loving and sweet, and she really cared about her family, and that included the entire extended family. I mean, much like you guys, I really look forward to my birthday because I would get a letter from Barbara. I have them all saved. They're a great memory of her. I'm showing how much of a kind person she is and was. I never got to go to Portland and visit like many of you did. Most of my time with Barbara came towards the end, and I would visit her at the assisted living home. And I mean, she definitely knew who I was, but sometimes she would forget my name and just call me the big boy. So that was always funny. Yeah, but we had a great time. I set up things for her and we talked, and yeah, it was a really great time to spend at the end. But I love Barbara, and I'm happy that we get to put together a video like this for her. Thanks.
Barb had a way of making all of us feel like we were her best friend. For one thing, she organized in her mind all of the events in her close friends and family's lives. So when I would talk to her on the phone from Tennessee, she would sometimes know my schedule better than I would, because I would have told her the things that I was going to be doing in the next few weeks, and she would ask about it. And that always amazed me, because she wasn't just doing that with me. She was organizing the lives of all of her friends and family all the time. And she was genuinely interested in other people's lives. Once when I was staying with her in Tigard, she made a phone call in the afternoon back to Kansas, and she was calling Jacque Allegre. And I could tell from the phone conversation that it was his birthday, and she was wishing him a happy birthday. And after she hung up, I said, well, how long have you been doing that? And she said, I think something like 50 or 60 years. As long as she'd known Jacque and that he'd been married to JoAnn, she always called Jacque on his birthday. The same way that she sent cards to all of us on our birthdays or any special occasion like that. So with Barb, she had a lot of friends and a lot of people who really loved her and felt genuinely loved by her. And the way I see it, she cultivated that because that was something that she really felt passionately about, to stay in touch with her best friends and her family. So calligraphy was a big part of that. She found a way to express herself in an art form, and in Portland, she had the opportunity to go to Reid College, where calligraphy was taught. Actually, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, studied at Reid College, and he developed all the fonts for Apple after becoming interested in calligraphy at Reid College. Well, Barb found her avenue to keep in touch with all her friends and family through cards by doing calligraphed messages. And it was really, quite a unique experience to get a card from Barb, where the envelope had, our personal names in calligraphy script of some kind, and then she would have some particular message that she had, maybe a quote that she'd taken out of a book, and she would calligraph that, designed specifically for whoever her friend or family member was. So Barb was really a unique person in that way. I don't think I've known anyone else who even has that ability to keep in touch with that many people for so long, over so many years, except, out of pure self-interest. Maybe someone in politics would do that, but for Barb, it was like a life, I don't want to say purpose, but it did bring a lot of meaning to her. It was like a joy to her, It was, she found an incredible joy in connecting with her friends and family and staying connected and finding new ways to stay connected with us. So it's quite a loss for our family when Barb, in her final days, and was drifting away, and since she's been gone, it's a huge void in the Roberts family, and I'm sure in the many friendships she had, especially in Portland, Oregon. We would have loved to do a memorial service, but that was just not feasible with COVID-19. And we had planned originally to do one in Kansas City and one in Oregon. She spent 47 years of her life in each place for a total of 94 years, so more or less. And so this is our way of doing a tribute, and thanks, Steve, for really doing the heavy lifting and putting this together. And I guess that's my little tribute to Barb. Thanks.
One of my favorite memories with Barb was after my junior year of college. That summer I had an internship in Portland randomly, and I got to go out a week early before the internship started and hang out with her. So I stayed at her place for a week, and just me and her, and she took me to the gorge, and we did a little hiking up there. This is in the summer of 2010. And then the next day she took me to, I believe it was Mission Beach, which is has the Goonie Rock, and we just hung out there and went had some fish and chips down at one of the local places on the boardwalk there. And I just always remember the essence of her house. I can vividly remember her house and her art studio, and you went down the stairs in the split level right there to the left, and just always remembering her for her kindness. Mostly just every year on your birthday, since your first birthday, you always got a gift in the mail from her, and it was always something to look forward to because it was so unique and uniquely her. And so those are some of the things that I'll always remember about Barb.
Hi everyone. A great idea, Steve, to do this tribute for Barb. I know we all tried to, most of us get together, but obviously that isn't possible. So I appreciate your effort, Steve. Well, love to all my family and Portland family, Barb's Portland family and friends who meant so much to her. Family and friends were everything to her. I just wanted to mention a few things that affected my life with Barb. When I was in elementary school, probably, I want to say 5th or 6th grade, I would go up to Topeka and stay with Barb, and would go to the VA with her and go to work. And I even learned how to draw blood from somebody. I don't know who would want to teach me that, but they did. One of her coworkers. And I do believe to this day that one of the reasons I went into healthcare is because of the time I spent with Barb at her job in Topeka. And secondly, was when I was a senior in college, and I spent 3 months in Portland, lived with Barb. And that's where I was introduced to Multnomah Falls and the Columbia Gorge and Cannon Beach and Mount Hood. Downtown Portland, we had a great time. She showed me all over town and introduced me to so many wonderful people, which we called her Portland family. Then took my kids, Jayme and I took the kids back to Portland for a family vacation over spring break, and it was fabulous. Went up to Mount St. Helens and took the kids to Cannon Beach, and she was so hospitable. It was great, and the kids got a look at her studio with all her calligraphy, and so that was such a great time. And then just my subsequent trips back there, and when she would come visit here. And then when it was time for Barb to leave Portland and come to Kansas City toward that last year of her life, even though it wasn't the best time for her or us with her being in the condition she was in, I'm so grateful I had that time with her. She spent 3 weeks with me after she'd spent several months with Ruth and Duncan. And so glad to have her here for those 3 weeks and get to spend those last days with her. So grateful for her friendship and her calligraphy, her birthday cards, her Christmas cards, her any kind of special occasion card, and her gossip. She loved to gossip. She knew what everybody was doing at all times. So she was kind of the family calendar. She knew what everybody was doing. So we miss her. It's left a big void in our family, and I'm sure in her Portland family. So anyway, again, thanks for putting this together, Steve. Miss all of the Portland friends and family. Hope you are all doing well. And miss my own family during COVID. So anyway, fond memories of Barb. Love you, Barb. Bye.
I'm just going to talk for a minute about our Aunt Barbara. I think first and foremost, of all of the interactions and all the time I spent with Barbara, what stands out to me, not even thinking of specific stories or specific interactions, is that she was always the easiest person to be around. She had an energy that she exuded of this calmness, this relaxed, this vibe that everything's okay right now, that, no matter what's going on, we're here and everything's okay. Now, if you would ask her about something she felt strongly about, she had no problems in, expressing that in her ways. And it was usually a very intelligent, a very well thought out and logical way. But even so, being around her was comfortable. And that's what I have to express more than anything. It didn't matter what we were doing, if I was in and out for work, or if I had a whole weekend to spend there, or if I had planned, a stopover for a night. Just making plans with her was easy. Figuring out what to do for dinner was easy. Just everything was simple and calm. And that energy is something that I have tried to learn from her and tried to express in my own interactions with people. And I think it's good for us to all, remember that and just to think and just remember the vibe of Barbara, just the calm person who's there and just seems to have it all figured out.
So I just wanted to share some of my favorite memories about my Aunt Barbara. And I do think and feel like she treated us all like her own. And I just can't say enough about how she's influenced my life over the years. But the first time I met her, Steve and I went to Oregon to visit, and Uncle Bud and Aunt Judy were there, and we got there, and it was before Simon and Addie came along, and she was just so amazingly hospitable. I don't think anyone has ever welcomed me into their home with that much joy. And she had gathered for Steve and I, because we were going to take a little tour and run around, because I'd never been out past probably Texas, and so we were going to take a tour, go up to Washington State, come back down the coast, and she had gathered all this tourist books, and she had gathered brochures from special places. She had maps. That was, of course, before the days of cell phones. So she had us really set up to really have a nice nice trip. And so she took us to the Rose Garden, I remember, and I had never been anywhere like that in my life. The fragrance you could smell a mile before you got there, and just, oh my gosh, just the joy of that. So when she found out I really enjoyed it, we went back a couple of more times during our visit. And we also visited the Japanese garden that was so serene and so tranquil. And I just had never seen anything like that before. And it was such an amazing experience. The farmer's market, she loved to go there. We would just have just such a good time every time we ever went to her home. It was such a wonderful, wonderful time. One special time I remember, Sherry and I went out to visit, and we all went up to Mount Rainier to Paradise Inn. And my gosh, the simple splendor of that place. And we hiked up in those mountains, and it was just the most amazing thing. And so, you know, just having her there where we could go visit and see another part of the world. When we went back with our kids, gosh, she took us to some of the biggest sand dunes I have ever seen in my life. And it wasn't like on the Atlantic coast, you're not allowed to climb on the sand dunes. But there, you know, the kids were just up and down those huge mountains of sand. And I remember she and I just had the best time watching them play in that sand. It was just, an amazing time.
Hi, I'm Teresa Roberts. I'm married into the Roberts family. John was my husband and nephew of Barb's. And I have a lot of memories about Barb coming to visit us. Especially one time when we had a blizzard of 36 inches of snow, and she was kind of stuck with us for a while, but it was a nice type of stuck. We loved having her. But there were other times, and one time with my kids, as her tour guide. Jillian, I'll let you take over from that.
Barbara came to visit us in Philadelphia when I was 3, and one of my favorite pictures is Barbara and me in front of the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, which was really special. But she used to come out and visit us, and we'd go to New York and we'd see shows, and she loved walking. I mean, obviously everyone knows her calligraphy was amazing. She sent all of us birthday cards, Christmas cards, anniversary cards. I think at some point, maybe too many family members. So she dropped the anniversary Christmas cards, but it was really special. I was able to visit her once when I was working and traveling in Portland, and I got to see her studio, and it was just amazing seeing everything. She took me to the Japanese gardens, and she made me chili, and it was just so special. And I just want to point out that she was way beyond her times. She was eating chia seeds and flaxseed and all the healthy hippie stuff that's popular in Whole Foods.
True.
Like 40 years ago. Like, she introduced me to that, and I thought it was weird. But I also keep this in my wallet, and it's my favorite thing that she wrote. It says, "Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin. Love at Christmas and the New Year, Barbara, 2014. I don't think she sent this to me. I think she sent it to my parents, but I stole it, and it means a lot. She was a very wonderful woman.
She was a special soul. She had a special heart and was loved by many. So we do miss Barb. And
happy 95th birthday,
Barb. Would have been awesome. Okay.
John Roberts took me out to the West Coast on a business trip. And we went to visit Aunt Barbara. And we did a lot of things on that trip. I saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time and went to see the waterfalls, like the gorges. It was awesome. But I remember the first night, it was my favorite memory. The first night I got there, I fell asleep in my food. And Barbara and John took me back to her house. And I slept in the sunroom. And the sunroom had all this collection of VHS tapes. And so I was so tired from the trip, I woke up the next day, and Barbara made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then she told me, because she was watching me, I think John had meetings, and she was like, just to keep me entertained, was like, hey, go pick out a movie from the VHS collection. You just pop it in, watch it in the sunroom, eat your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I picked The Loser, starring Steve Martin. And it was really funny. I didn't get all the jokes at the time, but I had such a specific memory of that trip and really enjoying being out there. As well as Barbara showing me the ash from Mount St. Helens. Actually, I have it. A jar of ash from Mount St. Helens. From Barbara's patio, May of 1980. This is actual ash that she gave me. And it's just one of many gifts that we've all received over the years from Barbara. And you can see her handwriting right there is great handwriting. Best handwriting in the family, I would say.
Hi guys, here in Townsend, Tennessee. Thanks to Steve and Tom for putting this memorial for Aunt Barbara together. And Steve said, film it in a quiet place. So that's not hard. It's pandemic 2020. It's eerily quiet here. You might hear crickets in the outside the window in the cabin, or a few birds. That's about it. So quiet without the sound of my grandchildren and my children, and without the family reunion, which we missed this year, and all the Roberts loud voices talking over each other. So I'll be glad to hear all of you individually and hear your tributes to Aunt Barbara. And it's so good to be able to honor her here, even though we're not together. I miss you guys. So my first, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, it's a whole century with Aunt Barbara. I mean, she's been here on this earth. She was here almost 100 years. My first memory was when I was a toddler, and Aunt Barbara was rocking me, and she was singing Que Sera, and it was in Grandma Iris's little bedroom that she had converted, that was the twins' room, Ron and Don's. She put a crib and a rocking chair in there, and she was rocking me and singing that song. And then jumped forward to the end of Barbara's life, and I was holding Barbara in my arms and telling her I loved her on the last day of her life. So there's a lot of memories sandwiched in that much time. I miss you, Aunt Barbara. And so Todd and I were married on November 9th, and that was Aunt Barbara's birthday. So every year we called Aunt Barbara and gave her a rundown on where we were, and we always went to some remote cabin out in nature, which Barbara loved, and so she wanted to hear all about our anniversary while we shared birthday memories with her. So that was a great day. And then, of course, opening the mailbox and seeing Aunt Barbara's birthday card. I miss her cards, the beautiful artwork that she did, the calligraphy. I actually went to Florence, to the place where Aunt Barbara studied calligraphy in Florence, and talked to the people that lived in the shop there and bought some stationery from them. So she had such a talent for doing her art and connecting all of the people together, her friends and family, and honoring our birthdays and Christmas. And I have this card. This is one of my favorite. This is a Christmas card that I got from Aunt Barbara. She said, hope your days are beautiful by now. And she said, glad you will be here for your yearly visit. That is wonderful. So here's, and she says, happy, healing, peaceful 1995 to you both. So Aunt Barbara. And this is the quote that she had on the front by John Muir. These beautiful days must enrich all my life. They do not exist as mere pictures, maps hung upon the walls of memory, but they saturate themselves into every part of the body and live always. I mean, Barbara, she was amazing. And I miss getting the cards, and I miss the adventures that we had in nature. Barbara and I had all these adventures together. We, Toni and I went together to go to Mount Rainier and stayed in the Mount Rainier Lodge with Aunt Barbara, and we hiked around Mount Rainier and saw the martins and the wildflowers and millions of stars that are only up in a place that beautiful. And Barbara went to Deer Valley with me, and we went on a snowshoeing escapade with a guy named Sven, who was a Swedish man. We organized a tour, and she went snowshoeing, and this was later in her life. She did amazing. And we walked far out into the wilderness. He made a lunch for us. We sat on a rock and had lunch together, and she talked about Sven for years. And then also Barbara and I went to a yoga retreat in Costa Rica called Pura Vida, and Barbara did all the poses in the beautiful yoga hut that they had with my teacher. And my teacher was so impressed that she had studied under Julie. She knew Julie and all of her writings in Yoga Journal. And so we had that experience together out in nature doing yoga. Barbara doing down dogs outside under grapefruit trees. So wonderful experiences with Aunt Barbara out in nature, and that was one of the things that we had in common. And I think that the best way to maybe honor her is to read this poem that Carolyn sent in a package of a bunch of photographs from Barbara, and there was a poem that I had written about visiting her. And it was probably late 80s because she had Patience the cat during that time. So I'm going to read you this poem, and that's going to be the way to honor Barbara. It was something that I sent to her, just like a simple little letter that I sent, but it kind of like tells all about her persona in the house. There in Tigard, Oregon, lives Aunt Barbara's house. All warm and cozy, her face appearing behind a glass door, by the glazed tiles, bearing the number that tells me I am here, 9080 Southwest Pinebrook Street. That familiar numbered line that I've seen so many times as I am old, scripted across an envelope corner in inky calligraphy, flowing out of her heart. Her peaceful countenance, her smiling wisdom, her warm embrace welcomed me into her house. The journey was long, but I am here, warmed by that kindred love. The cares of the journey and all things yesterday evaporate behind me. Remembrances in neat arrangements trim her walls, or cluster carefully in nooks and shelves. Wise books with spines erect boast important seats to orchestrate character. Patience the cat saunters in a little late, pretending indifference that I am here, then talks in a low voice and asks for a scratch belly up. Fir trees waving their arms in that balsam mist among parades of birds who light on the edge for seed that she keeps in place. Birds flying in that gray sky, she names them all. Then long conversations take place in a warm spot of sun on her back porch about the people we love or the state of the world over a black cup of coffee. Suddenly, a whirlwind of friends with arrangements of movies and museums, calligraphy exhibits, and fellowship, dinner tables and symphonies, cafes, waterfalls, hiking, garden strolls, yoga poses, rivers, and mountains. And on to Haystack Rock, where the journey ends at the ocean's edge, then bends into a circle that sends me back home, with a list a mile long of all the things we still have left to do together. I miss you, Aunt Barbara.
We are so fortunate to have had Barb in our lives. We moved to Oregon in 1973 from Wisconsin. We had no family out here. And then I met Barb at the lab where we both worked in 1978, and she right away became our Oregon family. She was such a positive person and had so many interests that we could always find lots to talk about. We loved going on hikes together. We often went out to plays. And after each play, we looked forward to having dessert and rehashing the highlights of the play with Barb. We shared every holiday, every birthday, and every other special occasion with her. I don't think she ever missed being at any activities that our daughter Kelly was a part of. And Kelly and Jim and I are so grateful to her for that. We can't imagine what our lives would have been like without her. She helped us through good times and hard times, and over the years she introduced us to most of the wonderful Roberts family. She kept us up to date on what her family and friends were doing, and she had a gift for making each of us and everyone around her feel special.
She was always very kind and calm and always willing to try new things, go new places, meet new people. She helped us to grow our circle of friends. We really miss Barb. Our world is certainly not the same without her, but we have wonderful memories of our times together and lots of great photos, and we have a whole album of the beautiful cards she made for us over the years. She was always busy making cards for family and friends, so we have those keepsakes to remind us of her. We will always be thankful for Barb, and we'll always be thankful that she chose us.
Some of my calligraphy stuff in here. And this is my studio.
This is nice.
So I'm just, it's just incredible to have this space. This, of course, it's.
So this is where you do your calligraphy right here?
So I work all the time keeping the clutter.
I've got
all
the
the stuff. Well, yeah, and I've got them all close.
Look.
So I can sit right here and I can turn that chair around and get things from there. So I've got got these things were wonderful to have. So anyway, so this is incredible space. I mean,
look at all
for
these
me
pens,
to have.
brushes
Yeah,
and things
I
you
know.
have.
I know. I've got all this stuff.
It's amazing.
I have to go
You've got
through.
so much.
Well, I do. I spend a lot of time. And I'm in classes.
Well, and it's so bright
I mean,
with that other window. You've
yeah.
got all this natural light
Wonderful.
coming in now.
Yeah, this is even light comes in here. This is walk-in basement, but so.
Looks like a fun space to be working in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is nice. It is. It feels really good to work down here, and I do work a lot.
So this is a collection of Barbara's artwork that we gathered over the years, and I just really wanted to show you. Is this not amazing? Every single card is different. Every single card, and I'm just going to have to spread these out on the table and just show you some of them. So Barbara didn't just make birthday cards. I know we remember those very well. We also got cards at all different times of the year. So happy Easter cards and graduation cards. And when Simon was born, she actually did a card of a baby hanging in a cradle, and so Barbara was an amazing artist. Oh, and here's one to Clear Creek Llamas, and she sent us little pieces of weaving from llamas, and she would make her envelopes. I mean, the envelopes were just as amazing as the cards themselves, and so unique. I mean, even down to the last detail of the stamps and the little stickers on the seal. Of course, at Christmas, she would send not just a card to the family. She would send a card to me, a card to Steve, a card to Simon and Addie, and sometimes individual cards for Simon and Addie. Her Christmas cards, oh my gosh, were always so amazing. This one's for Addie. Here's one of snowflakes. And just so in tune with what the kids loved and what they would enjoy. She made over the years and sent bookmarks, and this was one special one that she did for Clay and Iris that says, "Thank you, Clay and Iris," August 2004. This one is a bookmark, and it's well worn. I used it for many years. This one was a Merry Christmas bookmark for Simon with Peter Rabbit. So she would send just the most amazing words, and it would just always make you feel so good when you would open that up and read those motivational messages and words. She loved her needlepoint, and every year at Christmas, I love to put out my Barbara Christmas towels because they remind me so much of her. Some of the things she sent to the kids, it was just unreal. And so I got a few of them out to really show you. Simon was real interested in learning Spanish when he was 5. So she sent him a Feliz Cumpleaños card with this little Spanish ABC coloring book. This was an example of how she would make her envelopes, and they were so amazing inside. What you would find, was just sometimes something very small, like this, that would have even something smaller in it, like this, and then you'd open that up, and it would be all these beautiful, beautiful words about nature and the forest. And this one was really cute. She made this envelope and made a matching, this was to Simon, a little matching book. This one actually still has the dollar in it, which is real unusual because the kids usually swip that up pretty quickly. But just this little book of a card. So when you pull it out, like tomorrow with today, happy birthday, Simon. I hope it was wonderful. And all her stamps, she loved to collect stamps. And just the way it folds up and ties, and gosh, such a work of art. This was another one I loved that she had sent to Simon, where she had just pasted little, insects on there and butterflies. This was a card to me. It's clear, and she painted on it and did her calligraphy. It was just so amazing. This one, the envelope was pretty clear, and so you could see right through the envelope to the beautiful, beautiful card inside. Every time she would send a card, it would be something so new and different that you'd just be amazed. This is one of Simon's birthday cards, and you can see it opens up, and she's got her stamps in here. It's actually still got the dollar bill in it. This one was to Addie. This one still has her dollar, but also has this little book that folds out a rainbow on your birthday. Is that not the most amazing thing? 1997. Addie would have been 7 years old. Be glad and be young. This one is actually to Steve, and I thought she made, her own paper sometimes. She got into, really designing her own paper and making these books for us that are timeless. This was one she sent Simon just to say hello. Thank you for calling me on Sunday and telling me about your walkathon. She was always very generous if the kids called and they were doing some sort of fundraiser. She would contribute this type of thing. She did a lot of those. This one, Progress, is an ancient forest. This is some of her handmade paper here. And just the calligraphy, even on the envelopes. This is an envelope. It looks like the card itself. It wraps around and you open it from the end. And inside is the actual card. And inside that is, today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Happy birthday to Addie. And I'm sure you all have your own set of cards, but these are just so special to me. And cards aren't the only, keepsake that I have. They're some of the most special. She did needlepoint. I couldn't find Jemima Puddle Duck, which was Addie's when she was born. This one is Peter Rabbit. She introduced Simon to Peter Rabbit. Whole box of little books, and we read them all. And then when Steve and I married, she did our vows. We wrote our own vows, and she did calligraphy and made those for us. And I mean, I could just go on and on about how generous and wonderful she is, or was, or always will be. And I just appreciate this opportunity to get to share that.
She loved the oceans and the mountains and the clear blue streams. She loved the forest and the rainbows and everything green. She loved the springtime and the winters and the songbirds that sing in the meadows from the treetops and in the pouring rain. She loved the sunrise and the sunset and the stars that twinkle bright. She loved the cool breeze and the sunshine and snows that cover white. She loved the roses and the gardens and everything real. She loved Christmas and birthdays and the Thanksgiving meal. She had true friends who knew her. She stayed by their side through the good times and hard times. She was there to confide. She loved adventures and travels to faraway lands. She loved people and animals. She'd always lend a hand. She loved music, stories, going to the show. She loved good food and fellowship and what nurtures the soul. She sent cards to her family every birthday, and as children, when we'd open them, $1 would come our way. You were